Hello,
Hello,
we
we
are
are
Horror
Horror
Hecklers.
Hecklers.
Tonight we will be watching the original 1973 movie The Exorcist.
Directed by the great William Friedkin.
It's about a 12-year-old girl who becomes possessed by a demon.
And what a mother is willing to do to save her daughter.
Of course, we see the movie a little differently.
As we always do.
Although we usually comment in a humorous way, this time we're going to be more serious.
At least through most of it.
The advice to survive a horror movie number one is listen to your children.
Which will make sense by the end of the episode.
So, sit back and relax.
And let the show begin.
All you see are men walking around outside in the city.
There are plenty of men who still believe a woman's place is in the home.
I am going to assume the demon is male.
I just wonder what makes you think that.
Here are a couple of billowing nuns.
They are symbolic for a spiritual calling.
When Reagan acts up, she gets attention from her mother.
That's a bad lesson for a child to learn.
Nice. Oh, that is. Here, I'll show you.
It's sad when a child has to turn to an Ouija board to have someone to talk to.
Apparently, Captain Howdy is the only one in the home who will answer her questions.
You can bring Mr. Dennings if you like. Mr. Dennings? Oh, it's okay. Well, thank you very much.
When a mother and daughter start talking about men, it signals a change in their relationship.
Reagan is understanding more than her mother realizes. She's growing up.
Hello? Yes, this is Mrs. McNeil. Operator, you have got to be kidding. I have been on this line for 20 minutes. Jesus.
I don't care how bad the divorce is, a father should always remember to at least call a child on her birthday.
What a jerk.
Here is a lesson for all parents.
Children are always listening.
What do you do, taking a literacy test to get that job, for Christ's sakes?
There is a photo of a man beside Raiden's bed. It's probably her father.
And beside her mother's bed is a photo of Reagan.
That must be the image of the demon inside of her.
I just wonder if the demon looks like someone she knows.
You feel anything? Can you feel this?
I don't feel anything.
Raiden's response to the male doctor is interesting.
Children suffering from trauma will suppress their feelings.
That's your temperature.
I don't want it.
Raiden seems to be very angry at him.
I wonder why.
Performance in math?
Yeah, why the math? What is that?
That's a sexist myth that females aren't good at math.
Now this is for Ritalin.
Drugging her is easier than finding out what the real problem is.
But symptoms could be overreaction to depression. That's out of my field.
My daughter isn't depressed.
You mentioned her father and the separation.
Raiden's parents are getting divorced.
I think
Of course she would be depressed.
I think that's
Her mother doesn't want to face the truth.
it's uncharacteristic for
I don't
her.
understand. She doesn't swear.
She let loose quite a string while I was examining her, Mrs. McNeil.
Actually, most kids her age know quite a few swear words.
Reagan's mother acts like she's a little girl, but she's almost a teenager.
Asked me to keep my fingers away from her. Goddamn cunt.
She doesn't want a man to touch her.
She assumes he wants to molest her.
You see,
Here's a lesson for all parents.
Children are never sleeping.
here, Bluey's waiting. It's nice and warm.
There's that creepy little director hitting on Raiden's mother.
He reminds me a little of Roman Polanski, the director who pled guilty to statutory rape in the 70s of a 13-year-old girl.
Considering what Raiden is going through, Maybe her mother shouldn't be having a party.
What made you say that, Reagan?
And when she acts out, that's when her mother gives her attention.
It's just like the doctor said. It's nerves, and that's all.
She knows something is wrong with her, or else she wouldn't be asking the questions she's asking.
And her mother just keeps lying to her and telling her everything's all right.
Reagan is pleading for her mother to help her.
But her mother is still not getting it.
Well, it's symptoms.
Doesn't a doctor know not to smoke? Has he read the Surgeon General's warning?
God bless the 70s.
Here in the lateral passage.
There are 3 people holding Reagan, but she only shows hatred toward the male doctor.
That's a sign that there's something going on we haven't figured out yet.
You're gonna feel a little stickier.
Why is it that whenever a doctor says you're going to feel a little stick, it ends up feeling like someone is ripping you apart?
Because the doctor is an unempathetic jerk who has never gone through the procedure himself. Doctors should be made to go through these operations themselves so they know not to say stupid things like this to people.
This looks just like a real surgery.
I can't watch. Tell me when it's over.
Okay, it's done.
No, it's not.
I made you look.
Not funny.
I think these scenes are as gruesome as any of the supernatural scenes in this movie.
And I can't imagine how frightening it would be for a child to go through this.
Reagan keeps screaming for her mother to help her.
But she's still not listening.
I knew she was going to hit him sooner or later.
He kind of deserves it.
What does it take for her mother to see the light?
There have been more than 100 authentic cases of so-called split personality, Mrs. McNeil.
People diagnosed with split personality or dissociative identity disorder have been sexually abused earlier in their lives.
The window's wide open. The whole room is freezing. Didn't he tell you? Didn't who tell me? What's Burke?
I wouldn't leave that creepy director alone in the house with a young girl.
Not the best babysitter in the world.
This is a scene that was deleted from the original editing because they thought it was too disturbing.
I've seen much worse.
Why you?
That's what you get for asking the wrong questions.
It's interesting, or I should say telling, where Reagan grabbed the man.
They're rarely ever seen anymore, except in primitive cultures. We call it somnambuliform possession. Quite frankly, we really don't know much about it at all, except that it starts with a conflict or a guilt, and it leads to the patient's delusions that his body has been invaded by some...
If Reagan's possession began with her feeling guilty, then her mother should be asking what her daughter is hiding from her.
Survivors of unwanted or abusive childhood experiences often harbor feelings of extreme guilt.
Now, if you put this in Reagan's bedroom, I want you to tell me. Now, did you?
Not me.
I think he did it. He's an immigrant from the old country and he's religious.
But he thought he was helping Reagan.
No, my hunch, my opinion. He was killed by a very powerful man, point one. And the fracturing of his skull, point two, plus the various other things we mentioned, would make it very probable, not certain, that the deceased was killed and then pushed from your daughter's window. But nobody would...
This is where the mother realizes Reagan murdered a man.
I don't blame her. What the hell was that creepy director doing in her room in the first place?
You know what she did? Your canting daughter?
Reagan is telling her mother that she did something bad.
Or something bad was done to her.
And, how do you go about getting an exorcism?
Beg your pardon?
If a person possessed by a demon or something. How do they get an exorcism?
Well, the first thing, I'd have to get him into a time machine and get him back to the 16th century.
I didn't get
That's because we now know that demonic possessions are actually mental disorders like dissociative identity disorder, schizophrenia, psychosis, conversion disorder, hysteria, and mania.
And all these disorders can also be traced to survivors of childhood trauma and sexual abuse.
It's not surprising that the Catholic Church would dismiss possessions in the same way they dismissed cases of sexual abuse.
Happening both inside and outside the church.
He should have known better than to get that close to her.
That's a whole lot sad, but a little bit funny.
What's interesting is that this doesn't look like a play area for a 12-year-old. Shouldn't there be posters of musicians and singers and actors on the wall?
It looks more like a play area for an 8-year-old.
Somehow she is trying to not grow up so she doesn't have to deal with sexual feelings.
Sexual abuse can lead to delayed development in children.
My mother died recently.
Yes, I did. I'm very sorry.
No. Is Reagan aware of it?
Not at all. Why'd you...
Of course, Reagan was eavesdropping.
Not important. Good night.
That's what children always do.
Hello, Daddy? This is me. What should I say? I don't know. Just say Daddy. Anything you want.
What a sad way for a child to have to communicate with her father.
Exactly. Why couldn't he call or visit her?
Where's her father?
In Europe.
Have you told him what's happening?
No.
Well, I think you should.
Why hasn't the mother called the father when Reagan is near death?
I think maybe she's beginning to understand what's wrong.
It's a language, all right. It's English.
What do you mean English?
It's English in reverse. Listen.
That's reverse speech, where human speakers subconsciously produce hidden messages that give insights into their innermost thoughts.
And children often create languages of their own when they are desperate to communicate.
Well, there's a cry for help if I ever saw one.
Can anyone hear her now?
The absolute coolest entrance made in a movie ever.
Hands down.
Stick your cock up her ass, you motherfucking worthless cocksucker.
Be silent.
She keeps attacking sexually.
It's more than sexual. It's about incest.
For anyone who hasn't heard William Friedkin's commentary through the movie, what he says during this part is amazing.
It is the best movie commentary ever.
Well, that can't be normal.
Just an average girl going through puberty.
Come into me. God damn you. Take me. Take me.
The priest takes away the guilt Reagan has kept inside of her.
The man finally does something to help her instead of hurt her.
She doesn't remember any of it.
Survivors of abuse will block out traumatic experiences.
Maybe it's for the
Honey,
best.
this is Father Dyer.
Hi, Father.
And for the first time in this movie, Reagan doesn't show hostility towards a man.
I think she's found some peace inside of her.
I thought you'd like to keep this.
The medal she has is Saint Joseph, the husband of Mary and the model for all fathers.
Now Reagan has a father worth having, even if he is just symbolic.
And if you enjoyed this episode,
Please watch episode number 2.
and if you like these clips, make sure rent, stream, or buy the full version of The Exorcist movie.
Because it is just amazing.
We are Horror Hecklers.
Hecklers.
Hope you enjoyed the show.
Goodbye.
If you or someone you know is a victim of sexual abuse, please contact RAINN, the National Sexual Assault Hotline.
And do what Reagan did. Keep communicating something is wrong until someone listens.
And thank you to text-to-speech.org
for giving us our ability to communicate.